Welcome back to Live from Springfield, USA. Today we have Amanda Ortega with us. This part of what I love about this show is that I just get to tell you guys all the cool things about the people in my life. So Amanda and I have been friends for like a year, probably year and a half. Amanda and I bonded over a big life shift that we had like a year and a half ago, where our career paths were taking us in a different way. And what I found really amazing about that period of time was that so many women entrepreneurs in Springfield really stepped up to take care of each other during that time. So I've learned a ton of amazing things about Amanda. There's so much that I admire about her, and I'm excited for her to share more with you. So welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So one of the things that is pretty cool is that we interviewed your husband, Louie, like 9 years ago.
While, yeah.
In the early days of Springfield, USA. So we will link that episode so that I was joking about how it's a fun bookend to have Ortega's in the first version of Springfield, USA and in Springfield, USA 2.0. And a lot has happened in you guys' lives since he was on sharing
about the painted pepper.
Yeah, the everyday life. So what did your life look like then, and what has changed for you guys since then?
Well, when he did that interview, we were food trucking with the painted pepper, and that was like a 10-year venture. So that would have been in the first couple years probably. And so I was home with babies then, and he was doing the food truck and I was doing the behind the scenes. So it was when we were kind of first starting to get in the community and starting that journey of making all the connections we have now.
And that was pre-Cork and Board, right?
Yeah. So that would have been just the food truck, and I was just helping with that, more the social media and scheduling and emailing and the part no one sees, right? So Louie was like the face of the painted pepper, and I was the driver, as the women usually are, right? So, so it's funny to be the one here being the face of something now. So this would be my second business that we're going to talk about, but the first business kind of came out of the first entrepreneurial thing, which was the painted pepper food truck.
Okay. So the painted pepper moved into a brick and mortar world for a little while, and then you were set up next door in Cohatch with Cork and Board. So a lot of the folks that I run into know you from your Cork and Board days. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of reinventing yourself now in the non-alcoholic space. So kind of talk about how you started in entrepreneurship and how you've really kind of branched out on your own.
Well, I think I'm really the entrepreneurial, even more than Louie. So I think I probably have driven that spirit a little bit, and I mean he's definitely got some. But when we moved the painted pepper into a brick and mortar in Cohatch, there was extra space, and we just had this idea of a wine and charcuterie place, and nobody was doing that. And he's a chef that's done a lot of high-end things. So I've been the chef's wife for 20 years now. And so I was exposed to a lot of that, the wine and dine stuff. And so it was just kind of there, and I just started developing that. And so it was just kind of an add-on business because there was space there, and we just kind of ran both next to each other. And that was my wine and beverage journey. And so that was kind of getting to be alongside Louie and all the people he knew, and then being in Cohatch in the food hall where a lot of downtown people and just city officials and just everybody would come through there. And we made so many awesome relationships. And so that's kind of helping to carry us now also. Between having a food truck for 10 years and Louie being face in the community. And he's good at remembering people's names, so that helps, and kind of freaks people out sometimes.
The total opposite of my husband. My husband will meet you 10 times, and he won't remember your name or where he met you from.
Yeah, Louie's really good at that. So that makes people remember him also. And so, yeah, just being in Cohatch and kind of getting to know like what people are looking for, being kind of a trendsetter with the natural wine is what I felt like I was doing. And then moving into the non-alcoholic now is also kind of a trend thing that hasn't really come here yet. So both times it's been like, there's a lot of education around it because it's just not a big thing here yet, but it's definitely a thing other places, and we don't want Springfield to miss out on the cool stuff. So
yeah, one of the things I admire about Amanda, because we've talked already about how I'm born and raised here in Clark County, Ohio, but Amanda, she has been all over the place, and she has experienced a lot of things, especially in the food world, and so she has a much just broader perspective. I joke about how she's like very cultured. And so like we have, especially around food, have had many jokes about, I'll say a certain restaurant, we won't name any names, but I'll say a certain restaurant is delicious. And she's like,
I can't control my face.
Yeah, we could do that so much better. So like I would love to hear a little bit about, because I know you grew up here, right? In Clark County area, and then ventured out into the world, and you landed back here in Springfield, Ohio. So how did all that happen?
Well, that's never the plan. Nobody plans to come back to Springfield, right?
Well, nobody plans. I mean, I won't say nobody, but a lot of people don't. There's been so many like chapters in my life that I'm like, okay, my next chapter, I'm going to be somewhere else. And then I just keep on keeping on.
Well, I grew up in Champaign County, went to Graham High School, out in the country, grew up as a country bumpkin, but we would come to Springfield, like go into town, Go
to the big city.
Yeah, so like the mall, and then I lived in Springfield right after high school, rented a house on Garfield and with some friends, and then I moved to Arizona. And because I always had the plan of just to get out of here, right? And you hear this story a lot, which is funny. I'm sure every town, but there's, the story of I'm going to get out of here, and then the people that come back, right? Which is, so I moved to Arizona when I was like 19. My grandma lived out there. And so it's the farthest place I knew somebody that I could just go. And did some college there, and so I was there almost 10 years, and I met Louie actually online when it was like Yahoo Personals.
I was so hoping that you would mention how you met Louie, because I think the fact that you guys met on Yahoo Personals, one, ages us
right
so hardcore, but also like, what is the likelihood of two people working out so beautifully that met on Yahoo Personals?
Yeah, he was going to culinary school in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I guess we were both looking for love. And so I mean, meeting online would have been like super new then, and probably somewhat risky, but I'm still here. But so we met. He always says I winked at him, like Yahoo Personals. They didn't like match you up like they do now. It's just like all random. But
he got an emoji wink over the interwebs.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, emojis weren't, whatever it was called then. Yeah, you probably had to like push multiple buttons to make the wink.
Back when you poked each other on Facebook?
No, it was MySpace days.
Oh.
I put my wedding pictures on MySpace, I remember.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so, let's stop aging ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, I feel like I'm getting grayer as we talk.
Yeah. Well, you just had a birthday, so it's catching up.
True story.
Yeah. Anyway, so we met there, and he was just starting his like fine dining culinary journey. So I got to kind of ride along with that, and at some point like be the chef's wife, and you just show up and they bring you wine and a salmon cake and a cheese plate, and I would do my college classes like on the patio and in Arizona, and so that was pretty cool. And then we had a baby, became poor because I quit my job to be a mother, and it was like half our income because it doesn't pay well to be a cook. And it's a whole other industry in big cities where like people go to culinary school and like there's competition for the jobs. And here it's hard to even fill those jobs because we don't have the same caliber of like, we don't have resorts and things where people really want to learn and grow. And we don't have the stepping stones that they have in big cities. So Yeah. So after we had our first child, we have 4. I said, well, we could move to Ohio and live cheap, and then we'll come back. We'll save some money, and then we'll come back, because we just bought a condo in the 2008, 2009 crash, which was really big in Arizona. So we moved out here. Louis actually, if you listen to his podcast, you'll hear the whole thing about how his story is way more interesting about coming to Ohio and working with George Strait and Reba McEntire. But so we came here, and always going to go back. And then if you keep having kids, you grow out of a 2-bedroom condo. But so we never went back. And he did a lot of the corporate or executive chef jobs, and quit those to do the food truck a few times. So the food truck really has been a cool legacy, a cool thing that we built. And those connections have definitely helped bring me into the entrepreneurial space, having the opportunity to do my own little business next to the established business, and then just having being known for something. So
yeah, when I first heard of you guys' businesses, I didn't know you were married. So in my mind, the Painted Pepper and Cork and Board were 2 different people. And so then when I found out you guys were actually a married couple, and your businesses were next to each other, that was super cute.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it's in our minds, I probably assume people know.
Right.
But yeah, that makes sense. So I'm glad that there was a little independence.
There was.
So I had Cork and Board and did low intervention wines and charcuterie, and just kind of intentional beverage choices even was the theme and the purpose when I was doing wine. And then when we moved out of Cohatch about 2 years ago, it's tough to have a alcohol business because you need a liquor license, and there's not a lot of just great little open spots in Springfield, and it's not that easy to get a liquor license, and it's time consuming. And so it was really a challenge, and I was kind of hated to let my business die that I did believe in, and at least
people loved.
Some people so, but then we were probably drinking too much wine because it was in our basement, and just decided we needed to cut back and take a break. And that was a year ago, the dry January thing. And then we just kind of Louis and I have just not gone back to the full drinking thing. And we were seeking out drinks that would be an alternative to alcohol or wine at night, and just not drinking as much in front of our kids. Or it was just because it was this natural lifestyle for us. Oh, it's wine, it's natural wine. That's okay, right? But it wasn't okay. It was just too much. And so we were seeking out drinks I brought some examples, but you can't really get any of that stuff around here. I mean, you can get a few things at Fresh Time. Target has a few things, but we don't have any of those stores close to here. So it's at least a half an hour to get. When we were starting this, even that year ago, you couldn't, even the things I have here, you couldn't get easily. So it just kind of naturally became an idea of providing what was the trend. And alcohol is on a decline because people are just reevaluating. As we all get older, we're oh, it's not the same. And we're feeling it, right? So that's what I hear from a lot of people. They're cutting back, or they're worried about their health a little more, how they feel, how they sleep, all those things that in your 20s you just can, it doesn't matter as much, right? So
just
40 is a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
So I started having trouble sleeping and having anxiety.
I remember you talking about that. I remember you talking about that because when you and I first started getting close, your family would do field trips almost, where you would pick a town and go and check out the food scene and go into all the shops and kind of get a feel for what the upcoming trends were. That's a very entrepreneurial thing. It's going to other places and seeing what's big there and what the people in your community might enjoy. And you guys would often go and find a bar and have some drinks and whatever. And you were talking about I my anxiety cannot with this alcohol anymore.
Right. It just, something switched. And I mean, there is anxiety, or, you know, there's stress with being a business owner,
Sure.
especially during COVID. Our time in co-hatch, like, literally was delayed because COVID started.
Yep.
So it was like, that was all we knew. And just the whole concept was a startup like idea. And it was just, there was a lot of moving parts. And so,
but so many people drink, I think, to relax. And then when it, like, a few hours later turns around and makes you more stressed out than when you started, you're like, you feel betrayed.
Right.
The wine started betraying you.
It did, for sure. And, I would be up in the middle of it. Like, if I woke up, I'd have anxiety for like hours, and then I'd feel like crap the next day from all of that too. Mm-hmm. So, it was just really a new thing. And I'm sure it's, you know, having stress from owning businesses coupled with just my body's like, all right, it's too much. Yep. So it just really, made me take a look at that. And I mean, I still love wine, and sure. I won't pass up like maybe like an experience around it, mm-hmm. which is just how I'm driven. Like you said, going to towns, or like we took our kids to 2 Christmases ago, we drove to Texas to see Louie's family, and it was really fun because the kids are old enough now that they enjoy the food experiences. So we're like, okay, we're going to have hot chicken in Nashville. And we like seek those things out. And it was so fun because they're like 15 to 9 now. So it's like they can get behind like savoring an experience and not just like rushing through. Mm-hmm. And
they're learning to cook and stuff too.
Yeah,
so like they can appreciate how that stuff ends up even on their plate in a way that other kids probably don't.
Yeah. So that's just who we are. We're food mm-hmm. people, and we like to seek out like quality experiences. So it's just to bring any of that to Springfield, not that we don't have any, but like to add any of that to Springfield is just a good goal for us, since we didn't move back to Arizona, and we're here, and we do love this community, and we've been so welcomed in and supported mm-hmm. through lots of different things. And people, it's interesting, like where I can feel like, oh, this failed and this failed and this failed. Like just different projects we've been on that like over the last few years, you're like, you know, what you call internally a failure. Other people are like, I can't believe the way you guys just like keep going and move on to the next thing. And you always have these ideas and you're always pursuing. And I'm like, oh, like that's not how it feels to me versus how it looks to the people that even know us a little bit, you know? Yep. So that's encouraging to mm-hmm. like, just see people around, because right now we're not like Louis took another job, so he's not like in the community as much right now, but we really want to get back to that. But it's just nice to like to know people and yep. Just feel like you're part of a community, which is, I mean, it might not be as easy to do here as like a really small town, but like I feel like it's been, I mean, we're both pretty connected. Like mm-hmm. you had a shop and you know people from that, and like it's just a cool thing. It is to bring something, and you might not get everybody's appreciation, but like it's nice to be known and connected to people and other businesses, and it's like service in a way, but mm-hmm. figuring out how to make money doing it is the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. But, well, I mean, two of the things I really admire about Amanda are the fact that she is always on the cutting edge of trends, because you are very intentional about going to bigger cities. I mean, in all industries, there's sort of like a joke about the Midwest. We're always like a year or two behind trends.
Some people say 10. Like when we first moved here in 2009, sweet potato fries were like just a thing. It was like new. Burger King or whatever had sweet potato fries. And that was a whole joke with Louie and I, because we're like, wait, what? Like we've been eating sweet potato fries for like 5 years at least. Yep. And so that was like a big marker for us. We're like, because I mean, Phoenix is pretty close to West Coast. So there's a delay.
Totally. There's such a delay. Kari White of Paper Moon, we carry her in our shop. She has a daughter in Nashville, and her daughter sort of reports back like what the big city trends are, so that a couple years later we can time them for our market. Because Ohio, the Midwest, there is a delay, and we're not really close enough to either coast to be on the cutting edge of trends.
We got to ease in.
Yes. Yep. And we have to watch everybody else. I remember like overalls back in our teenage days. Like you would see overalls in magazines, and it was like, the people here actually wear overalls unironically. Like that's not a fashion statement. But then months and months later, here we're all wearing overalls to school, but it took us
side down.
Right, totally. But it took us like months of seeing it in Delia's magazine before we embraced it as like a thing that was our everyday life here. But Amanda's so intentional about going to the bigger cities, traveling, figuring out what trends are coming, and preparing our community for that. And I've been really surprised because the non-alcoholic trend, I feel like she's way ahead of the game on that. And I sort of thought she was going to bring it back to Springfield, and everyone was going to be like, and I heard this a little bit when we opened, and you did too, like, so could we just go ahead and throw a shot of vodka in there? Like, are these just mocktails? Are these just, are these just mixers? Why don't I just drink juice? Like you hear all of those objections. But honestly, it was really surprising to me. And I think it was less surprising to you because you're more dialed in than me. But it was really surprising to me that literally, like, as soon as we announced that you were going to be launching Beyond Bottleshop, people just showed up. Like, they were so excited to have an alcohol alternative. I mean, I've had people messaging me who are in like recovery programs and stuff that are like, we have to go so many places to find good non-alcoholic alternatives that still have like, and I'll let you talk more about it. But one of the things I love about the things that you offer is a lot of them have alternate benefits to you. Like they're not just
functions.
Yeah. They're not just like, here's a way to not drink alcohol. It's like a way to still relax, or ways to actually improve the health of your body instead of just like not destroying the health of your body. Like,
just being a neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to educate people on like, this is actually a plus, not a minus. Like if you drink your drinks, it's actually adding to the health of your body, not just, not destroying it. Like I said, and I really was like, this is going to be a tough concept to like really help people understand. Like it's great, but like so many people are in their habits of how they relax or like what they consume.
Right.
But people have really been, really just like, it was like they've been waiting for this to come to Springfield.
I mean, it's definitely a trend, like we talked about with like people just reconsidering their habits and how it's affecting their body as we get older. And also they say that the younger generations aren't embracing alcohol the way that our generation did, right. Which good for them.
Yep.
I mean, it was like $2 you-call-its when I was in my 20s, right? And you're like, your little job, and you're like, how many $2 you-call-its can I get? And like all night.
Yep.
So it's just like amazing that we're here, I think. So, so good for them being more intentional potentially. But, so just to like clarify, like
sure.
Kari has the shop Reimagine Gifts on Fountain Avenue, and my new brand Beyond Bottleshop is inside of the gift shop. So I had Cork and Board, which was the kind of intentional low intervention wine shop, and then I've moved into just providing the things that I wanted to drink that I couldn't find around here, and like or you have to buy on Amazon. It's not cheaper to like get that stuff on Amazon or any of that. Anyway.
Yeah, these kinds of things show up in like Instagram ads for me, right. But it's like sign up for the subscription and pay $50 a month and you can get 4 bottles at a time. And you're like, that sounds like who wants to take that kind of
risk,
leap?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what if it shows up and you hate it? What if it tastes disgusting? So people have been loving just like coming in and getting to try the stuff that they even see online, or buy one can, or like get to like, you can come in and get one can of each of these things. You're not stuck like just in a subscription in one brand of beverage. So,
or some of the things you can taste before.
Yep.
So kind of one of the early parts of this trend was like mushroom coffees.
Yep.
So and most people have seen that kind of thing online. So, and mushrooms sound scary to people who don't like mushrooms, but it's like powdered functional, or like culinary mushrooms, functional mushrooms. So functional is like herbs, or like the mushrooms that are kind of like balancing to your body or to your brain. So like ashwagandha is one that a lot of people have heard of. That's pretty well known, pretty popular right now for anxiety.
People even like take it as a supplement.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the awareness first started, is like, oh, I take ashwagandha for my anxiety, or, and there's a lot of like natural ADHD things coming out that those are adaptogens. There's also nootropics, which is like caffeine, like things that they serve a purpose and a function, but it's a little bit different than the adaptogens. So things like ashwagandha, like reishi mushroom, things like that do something for your body or your brain. Like reishi mushroom is supposed to be relaxing. So what I get a lot of is people that are like, I usually have that glass of wine at night, but I don't really need one every night. So that's called like a zebra drinker. If you're like, okay, I drink, but I like to like balance it out. So I'll like drink one day and not like alcohol. And then like, I want to be able to like switch it up, give my body a break, but still indulge, or still have that habit, or still have that experience. So there's that, or there's like other terms like curious sober, or sober curious, where it's like, okay, I'm not like giving up alcohol, but I'm like, what else is out there? What do you have? What's
if
this
I
all
find
about?
Something that I enjoy as much as alcohol, like, I'm willing to give it up.
Like I'm open to it.
Yeah.
You're open to like alternatives. And we all have different journeys. Like I kind of went through mine a little bit. And so it's not like the sober movement so much. It's just the like, what am I open to? Mm-hmm. And of course there's other things. So I'm in the shop, I'm primarily focusing on mocktails, non-alcoholic spirits, which actually a couple of restaurants in town are starting to use my non-alcoholic spirits for their mocktails. So Casa Centro has 3 mocktails that are like craft cocktails, really nice. So they're using like a non-alcoholic, 2 different tequilas and a gin. So that's really exciting for me. Hi Hat's they're using a mezcal to make one of their they're just coming out with a new menu for their full cocktail menu. So they have a couple mocktails on there. So it's really exciting. I mean, really what I want to do is be able to provide more than like a little shop, is like provide more, help restaurants and bars have more options for people. Because the reality is, if people aren't drinking and all you have is alcohol and soda, or sugar or caffeine basically are your options if you're not drinking alcohol, people just get water, and those restaurants and bars lose money. So that's the whole thing with like the NA business, is like, if you don't have these on your menu, you're losing money, because there are more people out there than you realize that want these alternatives. And I think that's what we're learning, is the more you're in the space talking about not drinking, instead of in Cohatch, it was like more of a bar scene. So, and I was in a wine business, so I wasn't meeting the people that weren't drinking. I was surrounded by the people that are drinking. So now it's like those conversations of like, why people aren't drinking. Yeah, I quit drinking 3 months ago, or I'm really cutting back, or I'm taking a break. Like, so there's a lot of people out there doing that. It just doesn't come up unless you're talking about this kind of stuff.
Even like I have an 18-year-old, and him and his friends, like if we go to a restaurant, like they're drinking Shirley Temples, or like, or if there's a fun mocktail on the menu, like they love, like if we're all having a cocktail and they're having mocktails, they love like they're kind of part of the party. And I have a friend who's sober, and she was saying like, you know, it gets old drinking tonic water with lime at the bar.
And it has a lot of sugar in it.
Yes.
Like you don't think of tonic water. It's like soda, basically. It has a lot of sugar. So most, like historically, mocktails are syrups and sodas and fruit juices. So people are like, I mean, it might taste good, but like it's not helping you're replacing alcohol with something just as full calorie or just as high as sugar or more. And so I think that's what will be exciting, is just having other options. So like there's non-alcoholic spirits you could mix in and actually have a little bit of that depth and bite that a cocktail has without the alcohol. And then there's like non-alcoholic wine and beer. Most of them still have a tiny bit because they're de-alcoholizing the wine or beer. Beer is pretty good these days. Wine, they're working on it. But if you like wine, non-alcoholic wine is not the same. So, but there's like, you can add bitters. Like there's fun ways to like, if you really like your wine, there are good alternatives out there. And the wine industry they're trying to find better ways to de-alcoholize so that they can like keep up with all the changes. That's what good industries do, good businesses do, is like, okay, we might be an old winemaker, but how do we provide what people want? That's what business is. That's what the service is. So things will keep getting better, and there's some pretty cool stuff out there right now, and it will just keep growing. So,
well, and my like, my bridge into her world, because I have never really been a big drinker, a big cocktail person, or a big wine person, of the many things that are very different about Amanda and I, when we cannot talk about wine, she's like, I'm a lost cause. She's convinced that someday she'll get me on the wine train, but my husband can carry that for me. But I like to go. And so when she has a line of energy drinks. She's got a couple different options for energy drinks. And the energy drink industry is typically full of things that are really bad for you. And so it's like, if you get on certain brands of energy drinks, you're just destroying your health in lots of ways. But the energy drinks that you carry have a lot of benefits. So that's also, that was the thing that I enjoyed, is like I can go in to our shop and get an energy drink, and I'm not just like consuming creatine and then sitting around.
Yeah, they're a little more balanced, or like how much, I mean, everything will say how much caffeine, but this might, it's like like the one you like is like energy and focus, or energy and hydration, or
I like the energy and lift one a lot, because it's like, there's like
mood
mood boosting ingredients. So you're not just like
caffeinated. It's not just
wired.
Caffeinated. Yeah. So something really popular is focus drinks. Like I cracked open this like mushroom tea, and it's the focus one. So it has lion's mane mushroom. Lion's mane is like known for being to help with focus and like just brain balancing, that kind of thing. And then
is that the one that has cinnamon in it?
I think that's the relax one.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really interesting things. And what's actually hilarious is like we can do a tasting and somebody's like, that's not for me. And somebody else is like, that was my favorite one. And it just like totally does that. And I mean, wine can go that way too, or beer, like people's preferences. But it's really interesting because just because I don't love something doesn't mean I need to like take it off the shelf. So it's really fun to do tastings with people and get the other feedback on things. So we have been doing a lot of tastings at the shop. On Wednesdays, you can come down and do a $5 flight of different themed things. On Fridays, we have Free Sample Friday, and I'll open something like a line of one of these canned drinks. And then I always have like spirits, like things that don't go bad that are open that you can try before you buy it. Because a lot of them are pretty much as expensive as a regular bottle of whiskey or something. So, but if you really want to create a ritual or have that like splurgy alternative, there's some really mediocre stuff, and then there's some really cool stuff that could really fit the bill. We've gotten
a lot of positive feedback around people who do cocktails in a very ritualistic way. Like they love to come home after work and like put together a cocktail and relax. And they have very much enjoyed that we have like the gin guy comes to mind, that he loves our non-alcoholic gin because he can take it and he can make himself a gin and tonic, and it tastes exactly like a gin and tonic. He's done a whole review about different cocktails and where it works better and where it works less. But gin and tonic tastes just like a gin and tonic, and he can have the whole, like it's so funny to even watch him taste it in the video, because he's like, wow, like, and it's almost like he relaxes like in a Pavlovian way. Like he's used to drinking a gin and tonic and relaxing, but it's not the alcohol in the gin that's relaxing for him. It's like habit. The whole, the ritual, the taste, like it's all like helping him relax and then probably sleep a lot better than after his traditional gin and tonic. So
that's the kind of thing, is like there's even non-alcoholic bitters that I brought in now, but they actually have like the adaptogens. Like one is lavender and lemon balm, which will be relaxing, but instead of just an alcohol-based lavender bitter, which I love lavender and all things lavender, but it has that extra function, that extra benefit. So that's kind of the focus. I mean, we have the mocktails, we have the NA spirits, but there's so much you can do to just like add, like we have electrolyte drinks, we have probiotic drinks, like some really cool kombuchas or water kefir that is like less acidic, less vinegary than kombucha. So just stuff that you can come in and try something new.
Yeah, we have like the whole gym community has enjoyed the drinks, because they, obviously are like trying to stay hydrated and trying to, work out. And, there's so many different subsets of customers that are enjoying what Amanda offers for all kinds of different reasons. And she offers a ton of different things. So that's the one thing that I notice when people come in, is usually they're like, wow, this is a lot of options. But what's great about it is you can come in and you can try a little something, and then you can come in the next week and try a little something else. And it's always there for you. And Amanda is, as you can tell, a wealth of information about all of these things. She's studied it all. She knows exactly where to, if this is the kind of thing that you like, this is the kind of thing you don't like, this is how you want to feel. She can direct you exactly to, she just this morning, she was like, this cold brew coffee in a can you will love. And it was the most delicious thing I'd ever had. So yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. I think the future looks pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's just like limitless possibilities for this industry, and for me starting it in Springfield. It's not that there's no non-alcoholic options.
Sure.
Like Wineworks has some NA beers and some THC drinks, but it's not their focus, right? And so it's just providing a place where it is the focus, and how can we help you? How can we help educate on these words and these things? Like I throw around the word adaptogens, and it's a little foreign. I really want to provide a lot of education around these things, because there's always going to be things you don't want to overdo, and so we want to be aware of that. Some of these herbs, you're not going to drink a bunch of them when you're pregnant. So like, there's just things to still be aware of, just with any sort of alternative thing.
Yeah, everything is a balance.
Right. Yeah. I'm probably a little over mushroomed most days, because I'm like trying to try all these different samples and products and decide what to bring in. So, and then there's also the industry of like the cannabis that's pretty new here in Ohio. And there's a lot of things to know about that. And there's kava, which is a really cool drink. That there's a kava bar in Columbus, but it's like the first kind of non-alcoholic alternative. And Florida, it's a whole industry. There's kava bars everywhere, like this ceremonial, like islander drink. And so that can relax you the way alcohol does without the hangover.
Yep.
But there's still always things to be cautious of. So.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of opportunities.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the last thing I just would love to hear you talk more about is, I talked a little bit at the beginning of the episode about how what really helped me survive entrepreneurship and all of its ups and downs was meeting all of the strong, driven women in the entrepreneurship world. And I had sort of a misconception that everybody had it together, and I was like the only mess. And I was the only one having any struggles, or had ever had a business fail, or any of those things. And so when I closed my shop, all these people kind of came out of the woodwork, and it was like this vulnerability exercise in a sense, where everybody was like, no, like I've had projects fail, or like I've been there before, and these were the ways that this is how I avoided, this this challenge. And it was like so uplifting to me, and it helped sort of fuel where all the things that I'm doing now. And Amanda was an excellent example of that, because, you know, here I was like, well, if I want that kind of support, you know, I have to, you know, sign up for these memberships and pay these fees and this and that. And there's some of those things that Amanda definitely like puts her time and energy and investment in, and it pays off really well. But then also like just the everyday networking with, like, everywhere I go with Amanda, she knows everyone. She knows everyone, no matter what she can tell me everything they've done before. She can map it all out for me. Even our other interview today, she was like, oh yeah, totally know. I'm like, of course, I'm excited to meet this person, but like, you of course already know them. They've done so much catering, so much, all kinds of things. So I would love for you to talk about some of the ways that, that you just nurture your everyday network, but then what some of those formal networking groups that you're in that really pay off for you, just kind of give them a shout out.
Okay. I mean, part of it is just being in the community long term, like I talked about with the food truck. And even though I wasn't the face, like I get to know these people by you're just being around, and you got to stick it out. And so that's really cool, that just to have those relationships that come back later to benefit you. Like one example is, I've been connected in Bell Fountain for a couple years, 3 years probably, and like looking at business ideas there, and it just never worked out. But now I have relationships with restaurants there that are like, hey, we want to do a mocktail menu. Like, can you help? Like immediately when they found out what I was doing, like wanted to put
you were their first call
on the books. And I'm like, and these are people I felt like I failed, like the city of Bell Fountain and Jason Duff. Like I never did anything. I always passed up the opportunities. It wasn't the right time. And now it's like those connections are all still there. Mm-hmm. And then so you hear people in business be like, build those relationships. Eventually they'll come around. And that's really frustrating in the present. But then in the future, when you're like, oh, I have those people and now I'm a fit, it's really cool. It's worth the wait, right?
Yep.
But there's also like network events or groups. One that I've been a part of for a couple years is the Evolve Women's group. It was networking, but now it's called Collective, because we've really found that we're supporting each other more than we're plugging our business. So, I mean, we all know what each other do, and there are some similarities to something like B&I, if anybody's aware of that, where you meet regularly and you build trust. So when somebody's like, I need a roofer, you're like, I know this guy because I see him regularly, I trust him, and you're going to refer them. So we do some of that, but it's really, women network differently.
The first time I met you was at Evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was just like the cool girl that presented that day, and she offered wine gift baskets. So it was like I was like, yes, my husband, that's a perfect gift for him for Christmas. So that was like, she was just like the person I admired from afar. But they also meet very early in the morning. So I can't.
Which is 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's so early in the morning for me.
Yeah.
But I've really I love watching how well you guys support each other. It's amazing.
And I mean, it's a big, Evolve Women Collective is out of Cincinnati and Dayton areas, but they have groups in surrounding cities, even Indianapolis, and then online things. So what's cool about a business like mine is I'm the only one doing this. So if I can go to my group and then other groups and bigger groups, I can go network in Dayton, and it's just already there. And I can go to a retreat. I can go to just whatever events they have, and I can be like, hey, this is what I do, and this is where I can get catering opportunities and the bigger things more than just the day-to-day customer in the shop, mm-hmm. which is also very valuable, obviously. But if I want to grow, I can just show up to these things that are already organized. And yeah, we meet once a month, and it's just we're being real, and mm-hmm. that's what we need. And so, yeah, we meet Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m.
And Amanda will show up and she'll be like, yep, we cried this morning. And it's you got to have a group of women to cry with, because, you're in the entrepreneurship world, you're You're really trying to thug it out most of the time.
Right. I definitely did cry through one of my presentations during that time when we met around that time.
But it was so helpful. I mean, it's like people don't always talk about the tough parts. They try to make everything look shiny because you want everybody to, think you got it all together. But
we're also growing like, hey, let's help create a tagline. Let's the hands-on literal business things that you don't always catch in your startup packet, right? It's like, hey, you should have a 30-second, you should have a 15-second. Tell us what you do in a concise way. We practice those things. And where else are you doing? There's not a lot of opportunities to do that in person with people.
And Lord knows we don't have people in our lives that want to hear about that stuff.
Yeah, and usually your families are not your support people for if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, they're like, we don't care about your brand colors. Sure, honey, it looks great.
So yeah, it's definitely valuable to just find somewhere to plug in, find a mastermind, find you're in a shopkeepers group that is a huge support for you, right?
So absolutely.
Yeah, I have a coach for the non-alcoholic. I can ask her any question. She's got way more experience than most people even in the country because she's been a part of it longer. But you got to have those resources and support things to get you through for sure. Yeah.
Well, and with my shopkeeping group, Master Shopkeepers, by the way, I'll tag them as well. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to shout them out. But not only is it, those very practical, how to run a P&L, it would be helpful if someone taught me how to do that. But also oh my gosh, sales are down this week. Is that just, did I do something wrong? Or is there something industry-wide so, we have those conversations too, where it's so is this a me problem? Is this a marketing problem? Is this some kind of something that's happening across, the nation? So having shopkeeping friends that are in all different markets to say what's coming our way, what trends are coming our way, what things seem to be dying, what customer behavior is doing, because customer behavior can be really universal or it can be really specific. So those are all the things that we like to geek out about, but you have to find your people to geek out about the stuff that you like to geek out about.
People.
Yep.
So, and if you're not a fit in a group, look for another one. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. It's just everybody's looking for people they're comfortable with.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. That meet at an hour that I'm awake. It's not their fault that they're all awake before I am. It's good. That's good for them. All right. So thank you so much for your time today. I know this is a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but I very much appreciate you educating all of our audience on what you're doing. I'm sure so many of your fangirls and fanboys are out there very excited to see your face. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.